It was a dark, moonless night at Hollow Pine Camp, where the counselors warned campers never to stray too far into the woods. 5 friends, Amber, Jake, Tyler, Mia, and Dylan, sat around their fire, ignoring the warnings and daring each other to explore the camp's forbidden areas. "So, who's up for the old cabin?" Tyler grinned, his face lit by the flickering flames. Everyone went silent. The cabin, abandoned and falling apart, was hidden deep in the forest, and every camper heard rumors about it. Supposedly, years ago, a counselor named Jonah had gone insane, locking campers inside before vanishing without a trace. They say his ghost still waits there for anyone brave enough to enter. "Fine, I'll go," Mia challenged, rolling her eyes as she stood up. One by one, they all followed, their flashlights bobbing in the dark as they trekked toward the forgotten trail leading to the cabin. The air grew colder as they walked, and strange sounds echoed around them, a whisper, a shuffle, like unseen footsteps in the woods. Amber swore she heard faint laughter, but when she looked back, there was only darkness. Finally, the cabin loomed before them, its roof caved in, walls covered in creeping vines. The door creaked as they pushed it open, revealing the cabin's dust-covered interior. A broken table lay overturned, and old, faded photographs covered the walls, photos of campers, each smiling with hollow, haunting eyes. As they stepped inside, their flashlights flickered, casting shadows that stretched and twisted. Tyler reached out to touch one of the photos, and his hand came back covered in a sticky red substance. "Is that blood?" Amber whispered, her voice shaking. Suddenly, they heard the door slam behind them, and the lock clicked. "Very funny, guys," Jake said, trying to laugh, but his voice quivered. He rattled the door, but it wouldn't budge. Just then, Mia screamed. Her flashlight was pointed at the far end of the room, where a figure stood in the shadows. A man, his face twisted into a crooked grin, his hands stretched out toward them. His eyes were empty, cold, and unblinking. "Jonah?" Mia whispered, her voice barely a breath. The man took a step forward, dragging one foot as if bound by chains. The friends backed up, but there was nowhere to run. The figure's grin widened as he whispered, "Stay, forever." Desperate, Dylan slammed his body against the door, and it cracked open just enough for them to escape. They bolted into the woods, the figure's laughter echoing behind them. Branches tore at their skin as they ran, but they didn't dare look back. Finally, they stumbled into the clearing near their campsite, collapsing to the ground, gasping for breath. But as they sat up, something felt off. They noticed that the trees were twisted, as though reaching toward them, and there were no familiar camp sounds, no crackling fire, no distant laughter, just silence. Then, in the distance, they saw it. The same cabin, right where their own campfire should have been. They were back at the cabin. They could still hear Jonah's voice, whispering on the wind, "You can never leave."